This is my daughter Claire, and she passed away when she was 21 years old. So that fellow with her is Dobby, and that's her companion. They went on adventures together. One day she took off at 4 in the morning. "Where are you going, sweetie?" "And I'm going to the desert." She said, "I have to go there for sunrise."
You know, if there's one phrase of Claire's, "Let's go on an adventure," which is what she would say when she wanted the dog to come. And the dog knew what was going on would come, right? Claire and I were very close. So Claire would go out and, as I say, wade into the world, meet people.
So she was the kind of person that you'd walk in the room and say, "Who is that girl?" It's not because she had the spotlight on her. She actually shunned the spotlight, but because she made you feel like she was caring about you. Claire donated her heart. She donated her liver to a 30-something-year-old woman and both her kidneys. I knew that she didn't just check a box, that she had really thought about it.
Why would you do anything different? Why would you not do this? It's a tick box on your license. 4 people are incredibly appreciative. All of their families are incredibly appreciative. They're not in the abyss because of what Claire did.
We've just taken one life and split it into 4. Maybe that was the purpose of her life. Like, you try and find meaning. We found out about Claire's lack of recovery or lack of hope at 7 p.m. Her brain died, but her organs were perfect. Life-sharing representatives came into the room. They said, "We know this is a really difficult time, but we're just wondering if we can do 2 things tonight. The first is to see if Claire registered as a donor, and the second is to take a little blood. She has an art line or whatever line she had, so it won't hurt her." We said, "Absolutely." Crystal, one of the life-sharing people, came back in and she said, "Yes, Claire's registered." And I remember it was just such a big relief because to me, there was no question about what her wishes were. We were pretty sure we would proceed, but we didn't have to make decisions about it, and that we had her blessing. The next day was a lot of activity, actually, because we had to sit down and go through the consent process. But again, I did that with Crystal, who has really been my contact person at Life Sharing. She was lovely, and in the end, we signed all the paperwork. And then she said something really important. She said, "Now, as soon as we set this in motion, we're going to disappear. Now that we know that we're going forward with this, we really, really want to find recipients for Claire. You have to look all over the country, you have to get the right match, and we are going to be doing this 24/7. We're not abandoning you. We are just working on getting her a match. We'll be back." Like, that's kind of how I felt. We're going to go away for a while, but we'll be back. And so that helped us a lot. After you make that decision and the paperwork is signed, the approach to her care really changes, but I say that in a good way because Life Sharing takes over. They always came with 2 people. There was an ICU nurse, and that was kind of the business person. That's the person who was looking at Claire's numbers and ordering her meds and keeping her healthy. And then the second person who would generally come would be someone to talk to us and say, "How's it going and how are you guys doing?" And explaining what was going on. Like, they gave Claire thyroid hormone, and like, really? But it's for the organs. It's to save the organs. She had 2 bronchoscopies. And normally you might say, no procedures, but they'll explain. Actually, we want to see if we can, have Claire be a heart-lung donor, but she has to have really good lungs. So every step they were kind of keeping us up to date. It's the opportunity to save more lives. Like, that gives me great comfort.
7204. Dr. Isaac dial 0.
We had a lot of time with her in the ICU, and that was such an important time for healing. We did fingerprints with paint that Life Sharing brought in. We wouldn't have thought to do that. They said, do you want some handprints, some fingerprints, some locks of hair? They cut, she had beautiful hair. Said, don't worry, we're going to take it from the nape of her neck. We'll cut little pieces. They put them in little bags for us to give to our family members. So they were just very sensitive about that. On the day of the surgery, I really felt anxious, of course, for her recipients. It was such an interesting transition, and I almost felt like we've had enough time with Claire. This week has been a gift, but now we need to have her be a good donor. So we walked Claire down to the operating room, and Life Sharing again said usually we'll do a little ceremony at the bedside, and they filmed it for us. So there were probably 12, 15, 20 people that walked down with her. We brought in LED candles and we put them on, on her bed. We had a moment of silence before she went through the doors. It's a very long walk, and I can tell you it wasn't long enough. One of the things that Life Sharing asked us to do was to put on a card some things we wanted them to know about Claire. When she went in, they respectfully said, no, we're going to have our moment of silence and we will read the card. So everybody knows who Claire was. It's almost like a sacred process to do something like this, that we can do this with modern medicine. We were very privileged, and she was beautiful till the end, even on a ventilator, We were dealt with so professionally. I think it's a way to make the best of a bad situation. It's like, if we're going to do this, we really want every single organ possible to be a good organ, so that then on the other end, whoever gets it has the very best chance of that organ surviving.
Water is all that I know how to do, but it's kind of beautiful underneath it all. Ever since I was a child, there's always a sad one. Why you gotta go?
She had those very sweet, innocent qualities about her. Really very social. But she was special. She was so special.